Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show today. My name is Spencer Walsh. We got a great one for you on the show. Trump's going to be seeking $8.6 billion in his border wall funding for his budget. Take a look at that and other requests he made. Marco Rubio fearmongers. Trump smears the Democrats to RNC donors. Joe Biden and Bernie lead the top of new Iowa polls. And Fox News host Janine Pirro goes off the deep end. We're going to tell you all about it on the show today in just 15 minutes, as always. So thank you so much for coming by today. Really appreciate it on this Monday morning. All right, so let's get right into it. And I really think this needs a little bit more of a explanation here, because we need to come back here on the definition of insanity, because for Donald Trump, irrationality seems to be the art of all deals at this point. Reuters reported on Monday that Trump will seek $8.6 billion from Congress to fund border wall construction for his 2020 budget request. That from Splinter News there. In the last showdown with Congress over wall funding, Trump sought $5.7 billion, despite repeatedly claiming on the 2016 campaign trail that Mexico would pay for it. He didn't get the money, and the deadlock with lawmakers led to the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Trump then attempted to end around Congress in February by declaring a national emergency over the situation at the U.S. southern border. And according to Reuters, we all know how that went. The House and I believe the Senate voted him down. So that in a resolution condemning it. So at least the House did. I forget if the Senate did, but still, pretty roundly condemned, at least in the House. And the country didn't like it. So why not try and do it again? According to Reuters, Trump's 2020 request is more than 6 times what Congress allocated for border projects in each of the past 2 fiscal years, and 6% more than Trump's has corralled by invoking emergency powers this year. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow confirmed that Trump's plans in an appearance on Fox News Sunday. While calling for more wall funding, the budget request also reportedly will cut domestic spending, environmental programs, anti-poverty programs, among others, host Chris Wallace confirmed. So he asked Larry Kudlow about this. Asked why Trump would do this instead of reversing tax cut for billionaires, Kudlow responded, "Why not?" Okay. If you want to deal with budget deficits, you got rapid growth, which means you keep the tax cuts in place. If we believe 3% growth rate of 2018 will continue into 2019 and beyond, I think the other element is always to limit spending, and the president is proposing roughly a 5% across-the-board reduction in domestic spending account. It'll be a tough budget, and I really doubt it's going to happen there. By the way, let me just say that they have Larry Kudlow's picture on Fox News, and boy, he looks awful. Anyway, that's unrelated, but he's not looking good right now at this point. So yeah, let's just keep that through. But so there's going to be another budget fight over the wall, and Kudlow responded, "Well, I suppose there will be." All right, so buckle up, because literally corralling the emergency powers was not enough, and I think that's going to be something they're really going to have to face. Like, why in the world are you guys going back for the wall after you are? Like, we thought you were done with the wall. We thought you were done with the damn wall already. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi responded by saying that Democrats have to beat Trump on once on the issue. They'll beat him again if they have to. And that is a good thing. So President Trump hurt millions of Americans when he caused widespread chaos and recklessly shut down the government to try and get his expensive and ineffective wall, which he promised would be paid for by Mexico. Congress refused to fund the wall, and he was forced to admit defeat and reopen the government. The same thing will happen itself if he tries this again. We hope he learned his lesson. So Chuck and Nancy coming out quite strong on this, as they should, because it's ridiculous the fact that he tries to come in and bring this again after he's got the national emergency, he failed on the shutdown, and the fact he's going to try and do this again is a joke. According to the Washington Post, Trump's going to also try to cut $2.7 trillion in the next 10 years in domestic programs and foreign aid. He also wants to increase military spending from $716 billion to $750 billion next year. The newspaper noted the CBO expects the federal budget deficit to exceed $1 trillion each year starting in 2022. So, yeah. House Appropriations Committee Chair Representative Nita M. Lowy tweeted that Trump's ridiculous proposal is not even worth the paper it's written on. So, yeah, that's my representative here. And thank goodness she actually seems to be doing something something worth that's actually worth something instead of just attacking Ilhan Omar for once. Actually calling out Trump and going after this. So it's a good thing to know. All right. Here's a not good thing to know. Marco Rubio is in the Senate. In between Bible quotes, Florida's Republican Senator Marco Rubio has been outspoken. I don't know if you've heard this on social media in efforts to topple and start a coup in Venezuela against President Nicolas Maduro. Rubio, who sits on the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, tweets about Venezuela in support of the opposition nearly every day, like literally every day. On Saturday, though, Rubio tweeted a thread about the ongoing power outages that began in Venezuela on Thursday and extended into the longest and most widespread power outages in the country's history, according to the Washington Post. And yeah, I said this. We talked about this last week on the on For the Win. We talked about this past weekend, but it's kind of really been going on ever since. And we don't know who. Again, the thing is, we don't know who's to blame. We don't know like the culpability of it, and we can't trust the U.S. government. Perfect example, proving my point, was when the U.S. government said that the Spanish, not the Spanish, but the aid campaign had been done by Nicolas Maduro's government. A humanitarian aid truck had been lit on fire, but instead it turned out that Venezuelan opposition protesters burned it by accident, I think is what it was, according to some tape. So, yeah, just, again, the government is not trying to tell you the truth on this. It's just simple as that. So as part of his Twitter thread, Rubio wrote today another transformer explosion at the German dam in Bolivar State caused another massive blackout. The result, critically ill patients have died. The hashtag Caracas Metro remains out of service, and few flights, if any, have arrived or departed from Caracas in over 20 hours. The German dam in the tweet isn't a dam at all, but rather a name of a journalist who is covering the outages. So, yeah, that's what he did. He tweeted another transformer explosion in the German dam. There is no German dam. So Senator Marco Rubio tweets. So German dam, the actual reporter actually tweets, Senator at Marco Rubio, an important transformer exploded in Bolivar, and that, in part, again, collapsed the Venezuelan electric system. However, it was not any dam, much less German. My name is German Dam. I'm one of the journalists who published that information. So, nailed it. German Dam. It caused quite a fire, caused quite a problem, and that shut down a lot of power in Caracas. So, that is... they spawned a lot of funny responses on Twitter. One person saying, I'm saddened to hear of your explosion. And he tagged the reporter at German Dam. Here's to a speedy recovery. I'd like to apologize on behalf of the state of Florida for Marco Rubio, wrote another. So, yeah, everyone's having a good time at Marco Rubio's expense, but the fact that this guy's still in the government, again, who's that incompetent and that devoted on regime change that affects the lives of millions of people, is scary, scary stuff. All right. Yeah, so Trump now moves to, as we head back to Washington, Trump has been back at it again, and after a week of insanity, which House Democrats threw Representative Ilhan Omar under the bus for her comments on Israel lobbying, then belatedly attempt to extract her from underneath said bus, Donald Trump and the Republicans have now fully embraced their new love of calling Democrats now anti-Semitic. And guess who started it? This was not one of these clever nicknames that Trump supposedly likes to come up with. Nope. This time it was the Democrats who walked themselves right into that very, very perilous trap because of what they said and what they did at Ilhan Omar. Now, what happens? Well, you're about to find out what happens. Trump smears you. It's just that simple. All right, so let's see what happened. He debuted this new smear in its full glory when talking to the RNC donors in private Mar-a-Lago event on Friday, according to Axios. What did he say? The Democrats hate Jewish people, Trump allegedly said. If Trump wants to remember again what true anti-Semitic actions look like, all he needs to do is look at himself. He posted a photo of Hillary Clinton on a background of dollar bills next to a Star of David on Twitter. His constant references to globalists, his association with Steve Bannon and Sebastian Gorka, his pushing of conspiracy theories about George Soros, his assertion that there are very, very fine people on both sides of a rally that included neo-Nazis. Again, those are just some of the examples that, I mean, maybe kind of like he's been a little bit of anti-Semitic, but maybe, yeah. I mean, I really hope that any good Democrat should have no trouble pairing this on a debate stage or battle of messaging with him. And I think, like, I mean, the problem is whenever his base says it, they're not going to believe it. I mean, I think his base is still probably going to believe it. But again, here's the question about his base. Does he even say that in his rallies? Does he even say that publicly at the risk of thinking, you know what, this, like, maybe they might like the Democrats if I say they hate Jews. Like, they may want to leave me and support the Democrats because if I told them that they hate Jews more than I do, like, he's probably going to say that probably just to specific audiences that don't like that idea, but still, there is going to be a lot of people. I mean, Trump supporters are not broadly Jewish. They're more likely than Democrats to be anti-Semitic because, again, as we know, 75% of Jewish people are vote Democrat. So it seems to be a really, like, it's obviously a ridiculous smear. One of those things that Trump says, where even like a third grader could easily rebut it if they were on the debate stage and knew anything about politics. But I really had this, and this is a lot more about Trump supporters. Like, I don't even know if he can use that in front of them because it just doesn't seem like it's going to work. It doesn't seem like it's going to be very effective because, you know, they kind of hate Jews too. Psst, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. Yeah. So that's a little secret here, just to keep it between you and us. All right, so keep it between each other. All right, that's very good. All right, yeah, it's still incredibly early for the race for the Democratic nomination for president, but in 2020. But a new Iowa poll that's being watched pretty closely shows that Vice President Joe Biden and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders are well ahead in the state of a crowded field of Democratic candidates. The Des Moines Register Mediacom poll that published on Saturday surveyed 401 likely Democratic caucus voters from March 3rd to 6th. One key takeaway is that Biden, who has not yet announced his candidacy, has 27% of support among respondents. Sanders, who's gained ground on Biden since a December poll, came in at 25. And I think really, and I saw a great point on this on Twitter, it was, I forget who said it, but it was like people like Biden because they think he's going to be, Democrats like Biden because they think he's going to be another Obama. And if a Democrat, I think probably the best Democrat to do is either Warren or Sanders, come out and disprove that messaging is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that there will not be a, like, the fact that there's not going to be a interesting person, like, there's not going to be actually rebuttal to that yet, and the fact because he hasn't even joined the race is probably why, at least in my opinion, and the opinion of many progressives, of why he's doing so well. And I think that would be easily, like, that narrative will be easily countered. I mean, if you thought Bernie would attack Hillary for actions with Wall Street and the banks and everything else like that, wait till he gets around to diving into Joe Biden's record on that stuff, because it is not pretty. You know, it's also not pretty the fact that, again, he took money as a Republican. He took money to speak for a Republican, do a rally for a Republican, or a fundraiser for a Republican, in front of big money donors in a battleground state in 2018, and the Republican won by a slim margin. So that seems to be where things are at right now with Joe Biden. We don't like. I think America pretty much needs to learn the truth about Joe Biden. It's kind of in the shadows, but if and when he announces to run, which he is said to do soon, that is going to be very interesting to see. All right, so other candidates, though, Massachusetts Senator Senator Elizabeth Warren, and was polled at 9% support, followed by